Assalamu alaikum, our dear students, and welcome to a new lesson for Qatar Technical School. And this is an English lesson for grade 10 using the Technical English Book 1. And the title of today's lesson is Directions 2. As usual, and before we start the lesson, let's have a look at the objectives. The first objective for today is listening for details. The second objective is describing the movement of human fist, arm, and wrist. Please open the course book, page 27. Before we start the lesson, let's have a look at some important vocabulary that will help us understand this lesson. What is this? It's a part of your hand. What do we call this? We call it fist. Fist. Okay, the next. That's also a part of the human arm, and this is the elbow. 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 Next. Okay, this is the whole part of the body, and we call it arm. Arm. And the part the man is holding is called shoulder. Shoulder. And finally, this is the part the person holding, and we call it wrist. Wrist. And notice that the W is silent. We don't say the W, so we start pronouncing the R and we say wrist. Okay, in this exercise, it's a task and you need to follow the instructions and answer the questions. The instructions ask you to close your fist and hold your arm out straight, افرد دراعك, in front of you. Number 1, think of your wrist and don't move it, just think. How many directions can it move in? Think, don't move it. 1 direction, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, now let's move to the other part. Think of your shoulder and don't move it as well. Okay, how many directions can it move in? Also 1, 2, 3, or 4. And finally, think of your elbow and don't move it. How many directions can it move in? 1 direction, 2 directions, 3 or 4 directions. Okay, now let's check. Your wrist can move in 3 directions. And what about the shoulder? Excellent, it also can move in 3 directions. But what about the elbow? It's only 1 direction. Okay, so as you see, we have here a human arm, and we see the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist. Okay, now what we need to do, we have to match each movement in the diagram in 7 with a word or phrase from the box. So we need first to look at the picture or the diagram. We can see direction number 1, direction number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So these are 7 directions. Okay, so we need to think of how we can match the words in the box, rotate, move sideways, move up and down with these labels on the diagram. Take a minute, pause the video, think of the answers, and then come back for checking the answers together. Okay, now let's check the answers. Move up and down, it's in 1. 2 is rotate. 3 is move sideways. 4 also up and down. 5 also up and down. 6 is rotate. And finally 7 move sideways. So movements 3 and 7 are sideways. 2 and 6 are rotate or rotation. 1, 4 and 5 are up and down. Good. Now it's time for listening. We're going to listen to something related to what we have studied about the movement of some pivots. And let's see. What we need to do is listen and choose the correct answers. For example, in number 1, we have A and B. 2 also A and B. 3 and 4. So in each one, we have 2 choices. Now let's listen and see which one we should choose.
Unit 4, Movement. Recording 26. 1. 19 degrees. 2. 40 degrees. 3. 70 degrees. 4. 118 degrees.
Okay, let's listen a second time.
Unit 4, Movement. Recording 26. 1. 19 degrees. 2. 40 degrees. 3. 70 degrees. 4. 118 degrees.
Okay, now let's check the answers together. Number 1, A or B? Excellent. It's A, 19. Number 2, very good. That's B, 40. 3, also B, 70. And finally, 4, excellent. The answer is A, 118 degrees. Thank you. Okay, in the same page on exercise 11, we need to complete the text about the robot arm with the words in the box. Okay, so let's read the words in the box first. Can, can't, has, is, and isn't. To be able to answer this question, you need to look at the robot arm and study it very well. You see the hand, elbow, wrist, and shoulder. Okay, and we need to read the text. This robot arm space like a human arm. It space a wrist, an elbow, and a shoulder. The wrist space like the human wrist. It space 3 movements. It space rotate. Number 6, it space move from side to side. 7, it move up and down, and so on. So I'll give you like 2 minutes to read the rest of the text, and then we will start explaining what we need to do. So pause the video for 2 minutes. Okay, now I suppose that you have read the rest of the text. I'll do the first two spaces with you. This robot arm is like a human arm. It, very good, has a wrist, an elbow, and a shoulder. Now take 3 minutes to complete the answers and then come back for checking the answers. Welcome back. Now let's check the answers. The wrist, is like the human wrist. It has 3 movements. It can rotate, very good. It can move from side to side. And number 7, it can move up and down. Let's start by looking at number 8. The elbow is like the human elbow. It has 1 movement. It can move up and down. 11. The shoulder isn't like the human shoulder because it only has 2 movements. It can rotate and it can move up and down, but it can't move sideways. Thank you, very good. Okay, after we have achieved our goals, we listened for details and we described the movement of some human parts and also a robot arm. Okay, now I'm asking you not please to forget to do the homework at the teams. Goodbye and good luck.